So I'm a big believer that you get out what you put in, and this applies to pretty much everything in life, including your career and relationships and of course fitness. Figured I talk about that while I'm on this channel, and really everything else. So if you put a lot of good energy out there, you tend to get a lot of good energy back, positive outcomes and all that kind of stuff. But the opposite is also true. So if you put a lot of negative energy out there or not a lot of care into anything, you tend to get not a lot of care back or not a lot of good energy back. And so what happened is, and why I'm bringing this up, is yesterday I posted a video saying you don't have to be a bodybuilder to get in shape. It's challenging a commonly held belief, at least in Instagram Reels comment sections. And pretty much a lot of people think of fitness as being a bodybuilder, especially with the whole Olympia stuff that's recently going on. You're like, that's what's on people's minds. So it makes perfect sense. So when I challenge this, it's interesting because it wasn't necessarily on that video, but on two different videos, I got challenged. And one was my fitness program sales video. Someone popped in out of nowhere, seemingly after I posted the other video, and said, "Do you even lift?" Now, that's more of a meme than anything right now, and you can't even hardly take it seriously, even if you don't really look like you're super jacked or anything like that. But I just answered yes and went about my day. Later on, someone else on another video said, "Well, you should probably eat more." And I'm like, "Well, for what purpose?" And they're like, "Oh, so you can bulk up and look jacked." And I'm like, okay, that kind of reaffirms what I was saying. But it's interesting timing that nothing was said. And then all of a sudden I post that video and two things were said. We're not talking a grand scale here. There's just two little examples, but I found it interesting. However, it makes a good point for what I want to talk about today, which is the goals that I have set forth for the upcoming months and really about 4.5 months. Because back in September, on September 10th of this year, I had posted an article talking about my fitness goals and where I want to go. Because I don't necessarily think you have to bulk, like eat a ton of food and gain a bunch of weight in order to get stronger and look bigger. I've done it in the past. It didn't actually end up doing a whole lot because the time frame wasn't long enough. If you space out the timeline longer, you focus on getting stronger, you focus on progressive overload, you focus on getting that mechanical tension down, which is not something like you can actually just do, but is something you can work hard on doing the things necessary to potentially achieve it, which is a really tough thing to measure without science. And I'm not a scientist. However, work on essentially feeling the muscle you want to work during the exercises. So assuming all these things are in place, I don't necessarily think, even if you've been training for a while, that you have to do all this extra eating and all this extra bulking and suffer through that like a bodybuilder would. What you can do instead, and this is going to be demonstrated over a 2-year period, maybe even longer. But the thing is, that's a long time to wait to see if I'm right. But I'm not really going anywhere. So if you're not going anywhere, you can see it happen in real time. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it into smaller goals. And essentially how this works is I'm going to list off my goals and I'm going to have a date to achieve them by. And these are going to be purely strength-based goals, but we're going to assume that everything else that I had said, like the technique, the attempt of mechanical tension, and everything else is on point and stable, and the reps that I'm doing now are going to look the same as they do then when I'm lifting more weight. If all that can be true, muscle will be built, even without a giant surplus of calories. Without further delay, we're going to talk about this article here and go over my goals, because we're talking about this here where over the next 6 months, which is really actually 4.5, I'll explain that in a second, I want to get bigger and stronger. And it's funny timing because of those comments, and I've already kind of been working on that. But anyway, what we're going to be doing is really just what I was kind of talking about, where I'm talking about the whole progressive overload and talking about mechanical tension, talking about all the technique and everything. Essentially, I already talked about that, but we're talking about it in the article here. So we can kind of scroll down right to the goals section, because essentially I have some strength goals that I want to hit, because I know that if I can hit those, I don't necessarily need to bulk a ton in order to get the goals that I want to get. But we're going to go ahead and just talk about them here. So for push day, chest, shoulders, triceps, essentially we're going to be doing pause bench press, and we're going to be working towards a 185 pause bench for 8 reps. Right now, the most recent best set I've done is 145 for 8 reps. So it's a tall order, about 40 pounds right there. Same thing with barbell overhead press, recently did 95 for 8 reps. And I'm going to push that towards 135 for 8 reps. Again, very tall order, very challenging goal, but I still think it's doable, and I'm going to push all that I can to make that happen. For moving on to back day, barbell rows, we're doing just to 165 for 8, nothing too crazy. Don't have any real care about barbell rows. By the time I get to any appreciable strength level there, I'm gonna save up and buy like a hammer strength back machine, the plate loaded ones, and just use that anyway because it's better. And it kind of is expensive, but anyway, that's my goal. I don't really care about barbell rows all that much, even though I'm kind of focusing on them right now. So that's where we're gonna be going. I will take my sweet time on that exercise to save my back and also keep those reps pristine so that they actually look good by the time I add that, 25 pounds? Maybe I'll push it a little further, but these are minimum goals. Pull-ups, slap the 25 pounds on a weight belt, and then 8 reps. Shouldn't be too challenging for that one either. And I may flip them if I start getting some good momentum with the pull-ups, do those first, and then have the barbell rows as kind of the secondary exercise. But again, this is where we're standing right now and where we're gonna be going from now. The last day is leg day, squats and deadlifts, 225 for 8 for squats. It's gonna take some work, but nothing too crazy. And then 275 for 8 on the deadlift. It's gonna take a little bit of work. The biggest holdback is actually gonna be having the plates because I don't have 275 pounds, I have 220. So we'll see how that goes. But that's really the main lifts that we're gonna be tracking and pushing towards, and I'm gonna be documenting that every single week on the channel. And it's gonna take me doing the workouts every single week and posting them every single week on the channel. And I'll have to create a tag or a series or something so you know where to look for on those videos. But the rest of the exercises, I'm just gonna push them. And I've also been toying with the idea of changing my routine just a little bit because I've been doing push-pull legs for a year and a half. I may do something like an upper, lower, upper, and then upper, lower, upper, and then upper, lower, upper. Just have one leg day and then 2 upper body days. But we'll see how that goes. As it stands right now, push-pull legs 3 days per week. So that's really what I'm doing. And the progression goes as it would be, as it has been, which I'm doing 2 sets of 8 reps. And then I do a weight that I can get for 8 reps, get those 2 sets of 8, increase the weight, use that same weight till I get to 2 sets of 8, keep that progression going, and that's what I'm gonna be doing as of now. I may change the progression to be a little bit more aggressive so I can get closer to the numbers where we wanna be while we're maintaining technique so that I can get handling those heavier weights sooner so that I can work on building the reps up once I'm handling the heavier weight, if that makes sense. But either way, that's where it stands right now. So you can kind of see that. And essentially I just talk about my calories and protein, 2,500 calories a day, which is actually kind of a little bit of a deficit, I've realized. And then 120 grams of protein per day at minimum. These are minimums here. And that's really about that. And then I promote another article which essentially breaks down how to lose weight. So that's that. That's the article on there. That's what I've been doing. That's what I'll continue to do. I got a push day tomorrow morning, so that's gonna be 1 out of the 3 workouts that I have on my weekly workout series. And hopefully this answers some questions, and hopefully this maybe is helpful or insightful. You can kind of see my thought processes behind training and how it works. And I've been much bigger in the past. I've done way heavier than all those weights that I've just talked about. And I think I can get it back without being as heavy as I was before when I did that. I intentionally gained about 50 pounds in order to make those numbers happen. Currently about 163. I know that I can get stronger than I was before without being that heavy. So we're gonna work towards it. It's gonna be a fun time. Hopefully you join me for the ride. Go ahead and check out one of the other videos of my channel here, and hopefully one of them is the workout videos so you can kind of see where we're at. But that's all for this one. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.